I used to laugh when people said dogs could see things we couldn't, until mine started growling at the basement door every night for 3 weeks straight. I live in a quiet suburb just outside of Portland, Oregon. My house is old, the kind that creaks in the winter and smells faintly like the people who lived here before you. It's not haunted. Or so I thought. It's just drafty. Old pipes. Squeaky steps. That's what I told myself every time something sounded off. My dog, Murphy, is a 6-year-old lab mix, the kind of dog who greets strangers like old friends and tries to befriend squirrels. Not aggressive, not jumpy, but something about that basement made him act different. At first, it was small things. He'd sniff around the basement door when we passed it. Whimper. Then he started growling. Not just a low grumble. I mean full, teeth-bared, hackles-up growling. The first time it happened, I thought maybe he heard a mouse or something behind the door. I even set traps. Nothing. I'd never paid much attention to the basement, honestly. It was unfinished, cold, and cluttered with junk from the previous owners. A few paint cans, old furniture, boxes of who knows what. I kept meaning to clean it up, maybe turn it into a laundry room someday, but I hadn't been down there in months, maybe more. One night, I was doing dishes when Murphy started barking. Loud, sharp, desperate barks. I ran from the kitchen and found him frozen at the edge of the hallway, staring at the closed basement door. He refused to go near it. Wouldn't budge, no matter how much I called. When I finally opened the door to show him nothing was there, he backed away and whimpered like I'd betrayed him. That was the first night I heard it. I didn't want to admit I heard it, but I did. A soft, dragging sound coming from the basement. Not like a mouse or creaky pipes. This was slower, heavier, like something being pulled across the floor. I closed the door. I turned the deadbolt. I didn't sleep. The next morning, I chalked it up to wind, or my imagination. Or maybe even Murphy himself. Maybe he bumped something and spooked himself. But I didn't believe that, not really. I started leaving the basement light on, just in case. That's when things got worse. I started keeping Murphy out of that hallway altogether. We'd sleep with the bedroom door shut, a white noise machine on, and I kept telling myself, it's just a weird phase. Dogs are weird. But even then, I could tell he was listening, ears twitching, nose pointed toward the floor. He didn't rest, and neither did I. About a week after the first dragging noise, something new started happening. I'd wake up in the middle of the night to the sound of the basement door rattling. Not forcefully, not like someone trying to get out. Just a slow, repeated jiggle of the doorknob, like someone testing it, like they were being polite about it. Murphy would whine and jump onto the bed, trembling so hard I could feel it through the mattress. The first few times, I thought it might be an earthquake. This is Oregon, after all. But nothing ever shook. Nothing moved. Just that handle, testing itself against the locked door. I stopped turning on the basement light at night. Somehow, knowing it was illuminated down there made it worse, like giving it permission. A few days later, I found the light on again anyway. I was sure I'd turned it off the night before. I even remembered flicking the switch because I'd paused, hand on the wall, heart hammering, too afraid to look down the steps. And yet there it was. Light. Thin and yellow, glowing beneath the crack of the door. I didn't open it. I just stared at that thin line for almost 10 minutes until Murphy nudged my leg and let out the smallest whimper. The worst part? The pull-string light in the basement, the only one, was at the bottom of the stairs. That meant someone had to be down there to turn it on. I called my brother the next day. He lives a couple of towns over, and he's the type of guy who actually enjoys being useful in creepy situations. I didn't tell him everything, just enough to get him over without making me sound unstable. "I'll bring my flashlight and a hammer," he said over the phone. You bring snacks." We went down together around 2 in the afternoon, when the sun was out and Murphy was far away in the backyard. I unlocked the basement door and instantly felt that same stale, heavy air rush out, like the house had been holding its breath. My brother stepped in first. I followed. The wooden steps creaked loud enough to drown out my thoughts. We got to the bottom. Dust floated in the narrow beams from the tiny basement window, and the air was still. The paint cans were untouched. The shelves full of clutter hadn't shifted an inch. Nothing looked disturbed. Except one thing. In the far corner, where I used to keep a stack of unused moving boxes, there was now a small, empty space, a perfect rectangle, cleared of dust and debris, like someone had been sitting there. And next to it, a single, neatly folded handkerchief. It wasn't mine. My brother walked over, crouched down, picked it up. I expected him to say something, to joke or comment, or even question why we were doing this. Instead, he stood up, holding it between 2 fingers like it was fragile, and said, "This has blood on it." I wanted to laugh. I wanted to need to laugh. Instead, I went upstairs. Murphy was waiting by the door, ears flat, tail tucked so far under his body I could barely see it. My brother followed a moment later, paler than before. That night, I locked the basement again, bolted it. Then I shoved a bookcase in front of it too, and still I heard it. The doorknob. Jiggle, jiggle. Just a test. I couldn't take it anymore. 3 days after the handkerchief, I started dreaming about the basement. Same dream every time. I'm standing at the top of the stairs, Murphy beside me, and the light is on. But it's not electric light. It flickers like candlelight. Warm, but wrong. And there's a shadow at the bottom of the steps, not moving, just waiting. I always wake up before I see its face. Murphy had stopped eating. He wouldn't leave my side. He even growled when my brother came to visit, something he'd never done before. I started calling repair services, trying to find someone who'd seal the basement entrance completely. Door, frame, everything. Most said no. A couple quoted prices I couldn't afford. One guy told me straight up, "You know you've got something down there, right?" It was the way he said it, like we were both pretending it wasn't obvious. So I decided to do it myself. On a bright Saturday morning, I went to the hardware store, bought everything I needed. Heavy-duty wood panels, screws, brackets, caulk, sealant, everything. I was going to board up that door and never look back. While I waited for the guy at the counter to bring out a special drill bit, I wandered over to the community board. Flyers, lost dog posters, babysitting ads. And then I saw it. A photo, black and white, weather-worn, of a smiling young man holding a Labrador. The headline said, "Have you seen Daniel? Missing since 1993. That wasn't what stopped me. What stopped me was the background of the photo, the house behind them. My house. My porch. Same numbers on the door. I stood there for a long time. That night, I didn't board up the basement. I opened it. The stairs creaked like always, but the air was even heavier now, thick like soup. Murphy stayed at the top, whining, pacing. I carried a flashlight and nothing else. Everything was exactly the same. The paint cans, the cobwebs, the empty, dustless corner. Except now, there was something new. Etched into the far wall, so faint you had to squint, was a series of scratch marks. Not random, deliberate, writing. "Still here, please don't forget me." I stood frozen. And then, from behind me, soft as breath, the sound of footsteps. Not stomping, not heavy, just soft. Slow, I turned the flashlight toward the steps, toward the sound, toward the thing I'd feared for weeks. There was nothing there, but Murphy was barking now, loud and wild, desperate. He was clawing at the basement door, trying to pull it open. And then, silence. I went back up. I closed the door, locked it, braced it. The next morning I called Animal Rescue, told them Murphy wasn't doing well, told them I couldn't take care of him properly anymore. I cried the whole drive there, and I lied through my teeth. But I couldn't risk keeping him in that house. He had seen too much. That was 2 years ago. I've moved twice since then. Apartment buildings only. No basements. No stairs. But sometimes, when the house is quiet, I think I hear it again. A door handle, gently testing itself. Just once. Just a soft click, as if to remind me it still knows where I am. I still don't sleep well, and I haven't walked into a basement since. The first night, I thought it was a tree. I live alone, on the second floor of a small duplex at the edge of town. Nothing fancy. Creaky floors, low ceilings, a cracked mirror in the bathroom that distorts my face, just enough to feel haunted after midnight. Outside my window, there's a patch of grass, a sidewalk, and across the narrow street, a sagging house with dark shutters that never open. The lawn's overgrown, the paint peeling. It's been empty for years. At least I thought it was. It was around 1:30 a.m. when I noticed her. Just a shape, really. Something vaguely human standing in the yard across the street, beneath the only working street lamp. Still. Too still. Arms at her sides, head tilted slightly up. Facing my window. I remember freezing, spoon halfway to my mouth. I'd been eating leftover pasta in bed, watching some garbage crime doc, the kind where every suspect looks guilty and every hallway hides a shadow. I thought, no way. It's got to be a trick of the light. A branch, maybe. But the next night, she was there again. Same spot. Same time. Same posture. She wasn't moving. She didn't wave, didn't pace. Just stood there, staring. Except, I couldn't make out her face. The street lamp should have lit her up, but somehow her features stayed shadowed, blurred, like a photo taken with the wrong lens. By the third night, I stopped turning off the lights, and by the fifth, I couldn't sleep until sunrise. I didn't tell anyone. What was I supposed to say? There's a woman across the street just standing there at night. That sounds like something you say before your friends stage an intervention or start asking about meds. Besides, she never moved, never came closer, and I never looked straight at her. That became the rule. Don't look directly. Pretend she's not there. Until I did. It was a Thursday when I broke the rule. I'd had a long day, the kind that sinks into your shoulders and makes your eyes ache. My boss had called me into a meeting just to ask why I wasn't smiling more lately. I barely made it through the door before collapsing onto the couch, still in my work clothes. I didn't even notice the time. Until my phone buzzed. 1:27 a.m. The moment I looked up, I knew. She was there. Only this time, she was closer. Not directly across the street. No. She'd stepped forward, just a few feet, almost imperceptibly. Enough that her silhouette edged past the light into the shallow dark of the sidewalk. I tried to look away. I really did. But my body didn't listen. Like something behind my eyes pulled me forward, like a hook lodged deep behind my ribs. So I looked, right at her. She didn't flinch. She didn't move at all. But something shifted. Something deep and silent and wrong. Her face, it was still a blur. Not a smudge. Not shadow. Just undefined. Like my brain couldn't process it. And yet I could feel her gaze locking with mine. Not her eyes exactly. I still couldn't see those. But I knew, with absolute certainty, that she was now watching me, watching her. Like we'd crossed some invisible threshold. Then something else happened. She tilted her head. Just slightly. Not curiosity. More like recognition. Like she'd been waiting for me to break the silence first. A chill passed over my skin. I stood there, completely still. Hands numb at my sides. Mouth dry. She didn't wave. She didn't leave. She just stayed, frozen in that too smooth way, like she didn't breathe the way people breathe. And then I blinked. Gone. I don't mean she walked away. I mean 1 second she was there, and the next, nothing. Empty street, faded grass, just the flickering buzz of that one old lamp throwing pale orange light on a quiet night. I didn't sleep. Not because I didn't want to, because I couldn't. My room was different now. Not the cozy mess I'd made my peace with, but something colder. Like her absence had left a deeper mark than her presence ever did. I checked the locks, twice, then again. I dragged a chair in front of the window and just sat there, eyes wide open until dawn. She didn't come back that night, or the night after that. But the silence felt heavy now, heavier than when she was there, as if something was just outside my line of vision. Waiting. She came back on the 7th night. I'd started to believe it was over, that maybe it had been stress, or exhaustion, or some cruel trick of my own imagination. I even stood by the window a few nights in a row, hoping I wouldn't see her, hoping and hating that part of me missed the figure, the certainty of her presence, that familiar unease. But then, on the 7th night, at 1:31 a.m., there she was. Only this time she was directly across the street. Again. Like she had reset. Like I'd failed a test and she was giving me one last chance to play along. She was closer to the window than ever before, still beneath the lamplight, still without a face. But something had changed. There was something in her hands. I couldn't make it out at first. It looked like a bundle of dark fabric, or maybe a small bag. She held it out slightly, arms half raised, palms facing up, as if offering, or waiting. My mouth went dry. I stayed still, watching from the shadows of my room. Every instinct screamed to close the curtains, to back away, to do anything but acknowledge her. But my body didn't move. Not when she slowly bent at the knees, placing the bundle on the sidewalk in front of her. Not when she straightened, her head tilting just slightly to one side again. Not when she raised one hand, slow and deliberate, and pointed. Upper. At my window. I don't remember moving. I don't remember crossing the room or opening the front door. But suddenly, I was outside. The air was cold and damp and still. The street lamp buzzed faintly. She was gone. And in her place, on the sidewalk across the street, was a folded black cloth. I don't know why I picked it up. I don't know why I didn't run. But I did. Inside the bundle, a photograph. Faded. Curled at the corners. A second-floor window. My window. Taken from this very spot. And behind the glass, behind the sheer curtain, my silhouette. My shape. Looking out. Only, my face was wrong. Not blurred. Just wrong. Not angry, not scared. Just vacant. Like something had scooped out the person inside and left the shell. Underneath the photo, a single note. 4 words, scrawled in tight, uneven handwriting. Don't look again. Ever. I dropped the cloth. My hands were shaking so hard I nearly fell trying to get back inside. I boarded up the window the next day, bought heavy curtains, nailed them shut. I haven't opened them since. Some nights I still feel her. Not see. Feel. Standing outside just beyond the glass. Not angry. Not waiting. Just watching. Sometimes I wonder what would have happened if I had looked again. But I don't. And I never will.